everybody from rainy South Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the 2016 Little League World Series. I already said we're in here in South Williamsport. I'm not the best host in the league for nothing, folks. From the Williamsport Sun-Gazette, I'm Mitch, Rupert. He's Chris Masse. We've been relegated up here to the press area in Howard J. Lombardi Stadium because it is pouring outside right now. Like, Chris, I would give you $25 right now to go slide down that hill.
If I had a different set of clothes with me and I didn't want to lose my parking space, I would do that in a New York minute.
$25.
I would do it for less than $25.
I'll give you $10.
Well, no, 25 is established.
We should get Girardi to do it.
Yeah,
because he can run. He lives close.
that's true.
Nobody cares about this whatsoever.
Like.
No. Anyway, we're here. We're going to talk to you a little bit about the Sunday edition of the Little League World Series. We're hoping to get some games in today. Chris, I think there's some room maybe later this evening, tonight, to get those games in. I think they're going to probably have to double up a game going on simultaneously at Lombardi and Volunteer, but it feels like there might be some baseball today, maybe.
I hope they're going to do everything they can, and looking at the most recent radar, there might, hopefully this is the cold front they're talking about, and maybe once this blows through in an hour or two, that's the end of it. And I think if that's the case, I think they can get the fields ready in a few hours here, because outside of a major league or professionally run grounds crew, this is about as close as you get. They're about as good as it gets to get these fields ready.
They have tarps on the infield, the outfield is trained pretty well, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to play some baseball, because they're already scheduled for 5 games tomorrow, and the teams that lose today have to play tomorrow, so they're going to do everything they can to get these in. Chris, going back to Saturday's action, the biggest story so far of this tournament, Japan is 0-2, and they are eliminated from world title contention. The first time since 1962, I believe, that Japan has gone 0-2 at this tournament. How big a shocker is what happened in Japan over the last couple of days?
This is my 18th Little League World Series that I've covered, and it's the biggest shock I've seen here. It's the biggest upset per se. You know, it's 2 losses, but I don't think anybody saw this coming at all. I think a lot of people would have put money on Japan being in the World Final and winning it all. It's a shocker. I mean, I think this is the first time, like I said, in 18 years, they've been here almost every one of those 18 years, and they've never not at least made it to the international final. So it's shocking. It's something I never thought I would see.
Their manager yesterday during this press conference, and give him kudos for going into that press conference, because there were a lot of coaches who, after they went 0-2, decided not to show up to those press conferences, but he was in tears because his boys were never going to get the chance to play here in Lombardi Stadium, and when he was told they were going to play their consolation game against, of all teams, Texas, they were going to get to play in Lombardi Stadium, and it made him cry even more to know they were going to get the chance. Winning is expected in Japan. It's not about coming over here and being competitive. These kids go to school 5 days a week, but then it's 8 hours on Saturday, 8 hours on Sunday. They're devoted to baseball. This is what they play for, and you could see the raw emotion when they fell short of how much this hurt them.
Yeah, you can see it in the players. The players were devastated after the game. A lot of them were crying. Yeah, I mean, I think they're as shocked as anybody else is. I don't think they ever thought this would happen. And, I mean, there's so much expectations and pressure on them every year to come here and continue the tradition of what they've done here, and to be the team that didn't win it. They could still win the consolation game, but not win an actual tournament game. It's hard to grasp right now for them, I'm sure, but they still got here. I mean, all good things must come to an end.
Sure.
I mean, and they're still their kids. It happens. I don't think I think it's a blip on the radar for Japan. Sure. I think obviously they're going to be back here next year and probably make a run at the win the title again, but it's got to be hard for them to wrap their head around right now, just as it is for everybody else.
Sure. In terms of the 2 big shockers of this tournament so far, on the flip side, we saw Chula Vista, California come back yesterday and win their losers bracket game to keep going on in this tournament. Luzeraga? He threw a phenomenal game that California had to have from him yesterday. yesterday to stay alive. Now we have to decipher, Chris, which Chula Vista team is for real.
I think both games they played really good defense. I mean, you can tell that they're a fundamentally sound team. The offense really has yet to get going. You know, they scored 5 runs last night. They only had 4 hits. And Daniel Hinojosa had the 2-run pinch hit home run and made it 5-0 in the third. I think that might have been the last hit they had. So I think we know that they have the pitching and defense. It's a matter of whether they can get the offense going right now, because Victor Lizarraga went the whole way last night through 82 pitches, so he can't throw until Thursday if they make it that far. So they're going to have to get the offense going, and obviously their pitching depth is going to be tested right now. Now, that being said, I think when you get the pitching and defense and the fundamentals and stuff, I'd rather have that than the offense, and be struggling in other areas. So I still think they're a major threat here to make a run.
It's a long way to go to Thursday to get Lizarraga back in this tournament. They must feel comfortable with their pitching depth if they allowed him to go that long and say we have to win this game first.
Yeah, in a game that was 5-0 in the third inning, I kept thinking maybe they're going to take him out there. But yeah, and they've been in this. That was their 8th elimination game this summer. They lost their first game at the Southern California subdivisional. California's so big they've got go through a subdivision in states, and they lost the first game there and came back to win it. So it's nothing that they're not used to. But on this stage, it's their resiliency and their depth's really going to be tested like never before.
Now for Warwick, Rhode Island, they kind of played that pitching game a little bit. They got exactly what they needed out of their ace, Colin Lemieux, and let him only go 52 pitches. They brought in Kenny Ricks after that, who just had a really good game. Why are you looking at me like that? No, you just gave me a funny look.
Oh, no.
They brought in Kenny Ricks, who only threw about 37 pitches, so he can come back in a couple days in their losers bracket game. And Rhode Island got exactly what they needed out of those two, and it turned into a big win for them.
Yeah, they look really good. And they've been in this position too. Before they lost the game in the state tournament, came back and win it. And yeah, they're set up really well right now. They get the Kentucky Iowa loser tomorrow. They have Kenny Ricks that are available, and then they can bring Colin Lemieux back Tuesday if they get there. So not only did they play really well yesterday and played great in all facets, but they've got their pitching set up exactly the way they want to. And I think they're a dark horse here, the way everything's set up for them. And they're not satisfied either.
Right.
They won yesterday and they were happy about it, but they made it clear right away in the press conference that they've got more work to do. They expect to make a run here.
You and I both know that these managers come up with these game plans prior to the game in terms of how many pitches they want their kids to throw. But then they're relying on 12-year-olds to go out and execute those game plans. And it doesn't always work out that way. They got to be happy in Rhode Island that they got not only the game plan they wanted, but the execution they wanted. And now they are set up to go for the rest of the week.
Yeah, and the play really was, you take away the first 2 innings against New York, they fall down 6-0 in that game. They won the next 4 innings 2-1, and then yesterday 8-0. They're really coming together. Like maybe a 12-year-old going on that stage for the first time, maybe the bright lights got to them a little bit that first day. Who knows? But they're playing really well right now, and they're a resilient team. I think is set up well here to make a run.
You said on Thursday, way back on Thursday, your initial pick to win the U.S. side was Chula Vista, California. Yesterday on Twitter, you said you're switching to New York. I'm sticking with Kentucky. I still think Kentucky's in a really good spot. They'll hopefully play here tonight. It's tough to not think of them as the favorite right now with what they have in terms of their pitching and the way they hit the ball and run the bases. This looks like maybe what we expected California to be.
Yeah, and I mean they played great in the first game, and Texas made 8 errors, and obviously that helped a lot. But they still had, I think, 10 or 11 hits, and Devin Obi pitched great. And now they've got Isaiah Head available tonight, who's their top guy, and they can bring Obi back. If they win, it's so huge if you can win today because you don't have to play till Wednesday. So they can have Head. There's a lot of options, depending on how the game goes tonight. but I think they're right where they want to be pitching-wise and with the teams. And then you look at the experience that they have, the depth that they have. It'll be a tough out. But I disregarded Iowa before, and I'm not going to do that again. I think this game is going to be a tough one tonight for them, and I won't be shocked if Iowa pulls it off.
I'm surprised you didn't go with your buddy Joey Hale and his Goodlettsville, Tennessee team after you took that shot at him Thursday and called him a big 49ers fan, when in reality he's a huge Cowboys fan. And he kind of resented that a little bit.
You know, he despises the Niners. He'll see the light one of these days, but I know Joey does not want me picking them to win. You know, he knows my track record not only of getting things wrong in the series, but of being wrong a lot with my high school picks.
He called you out in a press conference the other day, didn't he? Say this is the guy that didn't pick you?
He did after the press conference, and he did when they were here in 2012. He looked at me right when he said they beat Texas in the winners bracket final, and he said a lot of people were picking Texas and didn't think we could win this game, and he was looking right at me when he said it. So
you love that. You love a coach here having fun.
And if there's a coach that's having more fun than Joey Hale, I haven't seen him. I mean, he truly gets it, and I think his team and I think it reflects in the way his team plays. I mean, they're loose, they're having fun, they're enjoying the moment. There's the perfect balance between wanting to win really bad, but enjoying it at the same time.
That's why you see him going to the bottom of the sixth inning down a run, and it's like nothing ever happened to them, and they're able to pull out a win. Chris, I think that's going to do it for us here from day 4 of the 2016 Little League World Series in a rainy South Williamsport, Pennsylvania. You can read all of Chris's stories at sungazette.com. Follow us on Twitter, where he'll probably change his picks 3 or 4 more times throughout the course of the week.
See what happens with the New York-Tennessee game.
Anything else you want to add?
Just that, you know, I'm the best color commentator out there that there is. ESPN, you know, CNN, whoever, you know.
I'd take Monty for Major League before I'd take him as my color analyst.
I like the Sun Gazette, you know, and maybe I could do a part-time gig with them someday.
We better go.
Credibility.
We better go before his head swells a little more. From the Williamsport Sun Gazette, I'm Mitch Rupert. He's the one and only Dr. Chris Masse. We'll talk to you later. See you on Monday.